Dr. Know-it-all and the Brave Little Tailor by H Howe. Dr. Know-it-all. There once lived a very poor man. His name was Fish. He had a little piece of land with some trees. He also had a cart and 2 oxen to pull it. That was all. Every week he cut down 1 or 2 trees. Then he cut the trees into logs and put the logs into his cart. He took the logs to the village and tried to sell them. Usually he did not get much money, and he never had much food to eat. He was a very poor man. One day he took his cart and wood and sold some to a doctor. He waited at the door of the doctor's house for the money. He felt very hungry, and he smelled the doctor's dinner. "That smells good," he thought. "It must be good to be a doctor and have a big meal 3 times a day." Then the doctor came to the door and gave the poor man money for the wood. It was not very much money. He could not buy much food with it. He looked at the money, and then he looked at the doctor. "Sir," he said, "I want to be a doctor. Then I shall have more money and better food. Can I do it?" "Why not?" said the doctor. "It's easy. I'll tell you what to do. Sell your cart and your oxen, buy some good clothes with the money, buy some medicine, bottles and pearls. Then you must have a big book." "But I can't read," said Fish. "That's all right," said the doctor. "Buy an ABC book with big pictures. A for apple, B for bar, C for cat. You can buy one in any bookshop. You must have a big book. Then someone will come to you and say, 'I am L,' and you can say, 'Wait a minute, I will look in my book.' Then you can find B for bar. Then you can say, 'There it is, I have found it.' And the person will think he is very clever. Then you must get a piece of wood. On it paint in big letters, Dr. Know-it-all. Put this on the door and wait." Fish did all this. He sold his cart and his oxen. He bought bottles of medicine and pearls. He painted Dr. Know-it-all on a piece of wood and put it on his door. He bought new clothes, and he bought a pair of glasses to make him look clever. Then he waited. Many days went by, and no one came to see him. Then one day a very rich man in a big car stopped at his door. The rich man looked at the notice, Dr. Know-it-all. Then he knocked on the door and went in. "Are you Dr. Know-it-all?" he said. "Yes, I am," said Fish. "Good," said the rich man. "You must be very clever. I want you to come to my house and find my stolen money. Will you do that? I will pay you well." "Yes," said Fish quickly. "No one is there today. I can come. May I bring my wife, Greta?" "Yes," said the rich man. They went out and got into the man's big car and drove to his house. It was a very big house, and there were lots of servants. Some of them were thieves, but the rich man did not know this, and Fish did not know it. It was dinner time, and meal was ready. The rich man asked Fish and his wife to sit down and eat with him. There were a lot of servants to bring the food and a lot of food. Fish and Greta's eyes became bigger and bigger. Their meals were always small, with 1 dish, but the rich man's dinner was very big, and there were many dishes. A servant came in with a big dish of soup. Fish said to Greta quickly, "That's the first." He meant, "That's the first dish." But the servant heard him and thought, "He means, that's the first thief." The servant was one of the thieves. He went back to the kitchen and said to the other servants, "Dr. Know-it-all knows everything. He looked at me and once said to his wife, 'That's the first thief.'" The servants were all very frightened. The rich man then rang the bell for the second dish. The second servant did not want to go in, but what could he do? He picked up the second dish of food and took it in. Fish saw it and said to Greta, "That's the second one." The servant ran back to the kitchen with a white face. "He knows everything," he said. The third servant went in with the third dish. That's the third one, Fish said to his wife. The servant ran back to the kitchen and told the other servants. They were now are very frightened, but the rich man did not know this. The fourth servant brought the fourth dish. There was a cover on the dish, and Fish could not see the food. Now, Dr. Know-it-all, said the rich man, I'll give you a test. You know everything, do you? Then tell me something. What is this dish? Poor Fish. He did not know. He could not see the food. He could not smell it. He looked and looked, but it was no good. This is the end, he thought. I am not a doctor, and now he will know. Come, said the rich man, be quick. You know everything. Fish looked and looked, but it was no good. Oh, Fish, he said, this is the end. You're right, said the rich man, and he told the servant to lift the cover. You see, said the rich man, it is a fish, and this is the end of the meal. You know everything. Now you can find my money. Poor Fish. How could he find the money? What could he do? But the fourth servant said to Fish, Please come to the kitchen. I want to tell you something. The rich man did not hear him. Fish went to the kitchen. All the servants were very frightened. We stole the money, they said. Please don't tell our master. Then we will give it all back to him. And we will give you some too. Very well, said Fish. Where is the money? Tell me. You are thieves, but I will not tell your master. The money is under the bed in the small bedroom, said the servant. Good, said Fish. I will tell your master about the money, but I will not tell him about you. He went back into the room. Now, said the rich man, where is my money? I want to know. Wait, said Fish. I must look at my book. Everything is in my book. He remembered the doctor's words. He put on his glasses and began for B for bar. Now the servants thought, will he tell our master about us? One of them hid under the tables and listened. There was a big cloth over the table, and no one saw him. Now, said Fish, where is it? He looked in his book for B for bar, but he could not find a page. He could not read, and he could not find the right page. Where is it? He said. I will find it. Then you shall have your money. He looked and looked for the page for B for bar, but he could not find it. He could not read. In the end, he became very angry with the page. You bad one, he shouted. You are there, I know. I will find you. The servant under the table thought, he's shouting at me. He can see through the table and the cloth. He knows everything. He ran away into the kitchen and told the other servants. They became more frightened. At last, Fish found a page with B for bar. Here it is, he said loudly. I have found it in my book. Now I can take it to your money. He walked out of the room, and everyone went after him. He walked up the stairs and went to the small bedroom. Look under the bed, he said. The rich man looked under the bed. There was the money. He was very, very pleased. He gave Fish a lot of money, and now Fish and Greta was not poor. They lived in a big house and had lots of food to eat. They had 4 or 5 dishes for every meal. Fish often said to Greta with a smile, This is the first one, or this is the second one. The brave little tailor. One day, a tailor sat in his workroom. He was very happy, and he sang a song. I'm making a beautiful coat, he thought. I shall sell it for a lot of money. I am a good tailor. Many people buy my clothes. A woman went by his window. I have jam to sell, she cried. It is very good jam. It is the best. Who will buy some? I feel hungry, thought the tailor. I would like a piece of bread and some jam on it. He called to the woman, and she came into his workroom with her basket. Which is the best jam? He asked her. This one. This is, she said, and held up a jar of jam. Would you like one big jar or two big jars? I would like one very small jar, please, said the tailor. He did not have much money. The woman gave him the jam, took the money, and went off. The tailor took a piece of bread and a knife. He put the jam on the bread, but he did not eat it. He put it on the plate on the table. I must finish this coat first, he thought. I am hungry, but I will not eat my bread and jam. I will finish the coat first. He sat down and began to work very quickly. Then he looked at the bread and jam. There were lots of flies on the jam. What is it? Shouted the tailor. I did not buy jam for flies to eat. He jumped up, picked up a duster, and kicked the flies a blow with the duster. Some flew away, but he killed 7 of the flies. The tailor looked at the 7 flies. 7 with 1 blow, he said. I must be very strong. Everyone shall know about this. He sat down and made a belt. Then he sewed some words on the belt in big golden letters. 7 at 1 blow. He put the belt on and looked in the mirror. I am going to be something better than a tailor, he said. I am not going to be a tailor any longer. I am going away. He looked around his little house. There is nothing here to take, he thought. Then he saw a small piece of cheese. I will take that, he said, and he put it in his pocket. Have you ever eaten cheese? It is made from milk. Some people like it, and some people do not like it. He went out into the street. All the people looked at his belt. 7 at 1 blow, they said. He has killed 7 men with 1 blow. He's a dangerous man. He is going away. You see, that's good. We don't want dangerous men here. The little tailor walked for 4 or 5 miles. Then he saw a little bird in a tree. Some branches had caught it, and it could not fly away. The tailor picked it up and put it into his pocket with the cheese. Then he walked up. Soon he came to a mountain, and he climbed to the top. There he saw a giant. A giant is a very big man. Good morning, said the tailor. The giant turned around. At first, he did not see the tailor. The tailor was very small, and the giant was very big. Then the giant said, What are you doing here? Go away or I'll kill you. Wait a minute, said the tailor. Look at my belt. 7 at 1 blow, read the giant, and he felt a little frightened. You must be very strong, he said. But you don't look very strong. Can you do this? He said. He said. The giant picked up a stone and squeezed it with his fingers. Water ran out of the stone. That's easy, said the tailor. He took the piece of cheese out of his pocket. He squeezed it in his fingers, and milk ran out. You can get water from the stone, but I can get milk. He said, Yes, said the giant. You are very strong. But can you do this? He picked up another stone and threw it up into the sky. It went very high. For a minute they could not see it. Then it fell down. That's good, said the tailor, but watch this. I will throw a stone very, very high. It will not come back. He took the bird out of his pocket and threw it up into the air. The bird flew up and did not come back. What do you think of that? Asked the tailor. Yes, you're very strong, said the giant. But can you do this? I want to carry this big tree for 5 miles. Can you help me? Yes, said the tailor. That will be easy. I will carry the end with the branches. That's the heavier end. Very good, said the giant, and off they went. The giant carried the heavy trunk of the tree, but the tailor climbed on to the branches at the other end and sat there. The giant was in front, and he could not see the tailor. That is easy, said the tailor. This tree is not heavy. He sang happily about the giant, but the giant felt very tired. Hole in a rock, the giant lived. At last they reached the giant's home. It was a big hole in a rock. The giant lived there with another giant. "Come in," he said to the tailor. "You can sleep here tonight." For supper, the two giants had two pigs. They gave the little tailor some food and a bed to sleep in. The bed was very big and the tailor was very small. He could not go to sleep in a big bed, and in the night he got out of the bed and slept on the floor. In the middle of the night, the giant took a big, heavy piece of wood and hit the tailor's bed. Another giant woke up. "It's all right," said the first giant. "I've killed the little man. He was very strong and dangerous. Now I have killed him." The two giants went to sleep, and the tailor quietly went away. He walked for many miles, and then he felt tired. He lay down and went to sleep. He woke up the next day. Some people were standing around him. One of them was an old man. He said to Taylor, "I have read the words on your belt. Did you kill 7 with one blow?" "Yes," said the tailor. "Please come with me," said the old man. "The king of the country is looking for a man like you to look after his soldiers. Will you come?" "Yes, I will," said the tailor. "I'm the right man for that. I killed 7 with one blow." The tailor went to the king and soon became the captain of all the king's soldiers. But the other soldiers did not like him. For one thing, he came from a different country. Also, they were afraid of him. They told the king this, and the king thought, "He must go or I will lose all my soldiers. But he is very strong and he may be dangerous. But what can I do?" Then he thought, "I know the answer," and he sent for the tailor. "You're the strongest man in the country," he said. "I have work for you to do. 2 big giants live near here, and they sometimes kill some of my people. I want you to kill them. Then you shall have my daughter for your wife, and I will give you one half of my country. You may take 100 soldiers with you." "100 soldiers," said the tailor. "I do not want 100 soldiers. I will take 10. Remember, I killed 7 with one blow." He went off with his 10 soldiers and came near the giant's home. There he told the soldiers to wait, and he went on. He found the giants. Then they were asleep under the tree. The tailor put some stones in his pocket and climbed up the tree. Then he threw a stone at the first giant. It hit him on the head. He woke up and gave the second giant a push with his hand. "Why did you hit me?" he said. "I didn't hit you," said the second giant. "Go to sleep." Then the tailor threw a stone at the second giant. It hit him in the face. He woke up and gave the first giant a push. "Why do you hit me?" he said angrily. "I didn't hit you," said the first giant. "Go to sleep." And the tailor threw a lot of stones and hit both giants. They woke up, picked up their big sticks, and began to fight. They fought and fought and fought, and at last the first giant killed the second giant, and the second giant killed the first giant. The little tailor came down from the tree. He took his sword and put it into the 2 giants. Then he went back to his 10 soldiers. "I have killed them," he said. "Come and see. It was a big fight, but I killed them." The soldiers went and saw the giants, and then they all went back to tell the king. "You have done well," said the king, "but I have some more work for you. The one near here is a unicorn. A wood is the name for lots of trees. A unicorn is a very dangerous animal. It is like a horse, but it has one horn in the middle of its head. The unicorn is killing some of my people. You must stop it. Then you shall have my daughter for your wife, and have one half of my country. Very well, said the tailor. He took the 10 soldiers and went off. They came to the wood, and the tailor told the soldiers to wait. He went into the woods and took with him a saw and a piece of rope. The unicorn was there and saw the tailor. It ran at him with its head down, but the tailor ran behind a big tree. The unicorn could not stop and ran into the tree. Its big horn stuck in the tree, and it could not get it out. The tailor tied the rope around the animal's neck. Then with the saw he cut off the unicorn's horn. Then it was no longer dangerous, and the tailor took it back to the king. But the king said, There is one more thing for you to do. Then you shall have my daughter for your wife, and I will give you half of my country. In the woods there is a wild boar. It has killed some of my people. You must stop it. A wild boar is like a pig, but it is very dangerous. It can kill people. Very well, said the little tailor. I can kill 7 with one blow, and I can kill a boar. He went off with his 10 soldiers and told them to wait outside the wood. Soon the boar saw him and ran at him. Its mouth was open, and the little tailor saw its big teeth. He ran away very quickly, and the boar ran after him. They ran, and the boar came closer and closer. The little tailor saw a little hut. He ran straight inside. He did not try to shut the door. He was clever. He jumped straight out of the little window, the back of the hut. The boar ran inside. It could not stop. The little tailor ran around to the front of the hut and shut the door. The boar could not get out. Then the little tailor shouted to the soldiers, Come here, I've caught the boar for you. Now you can shoot it. The soldiers ran to the hut and shot the boar through the window. Then they all went back to the king. Now everyone said, He's the best soldier in the country. The king's daughter became his wife. The king gave the tailor one half of his country, and the tailor and his wife lived happily in a big house. On the door of the house were the words, 7 at one blow. The end of Dr. Know-It-All and the Brave Little Tailor by H Howe.